What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs of all shapes, sizes, even pit bulls, because they aren't dangerous. There's bad people, not bad dogs. Okay, let's get that straight. And I know they tune into the Schoch Factor Podcast, where I, Stephen Schoch, am your host and am joined by the beautiful, the ever dangerous, the always having treats, always has a milk bone in his pocket. If you're a good boy, Jake Mintz and Jordan Shusterman, both of them. They always have treats in their pockets if you're a dog. So go up to them. If you're at a bark in the park, frenzy around them. Flock.
No comment.
I will say that our relationship with Steve, that dynamic, is not dissimilar to the way the Mystery Machine people treat Scooby-Doo, where it's like we're in Omaha. It's like, Steve, we have to go interview Jack Caglione. Here's a Scooby stack.
Yeah, that's why my mouth is always dry in the videos. It's because I'm just crushing milk bones.
All right, gentlemen. Here we are. We're going to play a game. This is something that I was mostly inspired. I listened to the other shows on this feed, and I just enjoy the games they come up with. Now, they're often convoluted, and this one is a little bit convoluted too, but I wanted to get in on the action. And as a vehicle to talk about some of the best teams in the country, I came up with this game, which is essentially a top 25 draft. Now, here's how it is going to work. Steve, pay attention. Listeners, viewers, pay attention as well. We are going to take the top 25, the preseason top 25, and break it into 5 groups.
25 divided by 5 is what, Steve?
5.
Good job.
Quick math.
Okay. Stay hot.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go one group of 5 at a time, and we are each going to draft one team from the group of 5. So we're talking about the teams 1 through 5, teams 6 through 10, and so on. And so at the end of that, we are each going to have 5 teams. So not every team in the top 25 is going to get selected. But the point is we are going to draft teams based on how well we think they're going to do this year, / also we just like them and want to root for them to see them do well. And we've come up with a scoring system that we're going to keep track of all season long, which is as follows. And if you think this is completely unfair, sorry, this is the best we can do. 1 point for a regular season win. You win a game, you get a point. Okay. 5 points for making a regional, 10 points for winning a regional, 20 points for reaching Omaha, and 25 points for winning it all. Now, we are going to draft teams from the top 25, and then depending on time, we are also going to draft some bonus teams at the end of the episode, depending on how much time we have. Okay, so again, not all the teams in the top 25 are going to get picked, but we wanted to break the top 25 into these groups so that we're picking from these groups of 5. And we are all going to have different preferences. Is Steve going to take Virginia? Of course he is. Yep. But I'm excited to see this because I think especially when you get farther down the top 25, it's not necessarily, just pick the team at the top that's ranked at the top of this group of 5. I think personal preference is going to come into play, and we'll be able to talk about some of the players and reasons we're taking them. Now, Steve, we're going to keep this going quickly. We're going to do a snake order. Okay, the order, I will keep track of the order. So if anyone gets confused, I will tell you who's drafting.
How do we want to determine draft order? Who had the worst 2023 emotion?
I know that's how you always like to determine draft order, Jake. You've done that on many podcasts in the past.
Who had the worst year last year?
I am not saying that you had the worst year, but I am giving you the number 1 pick because I do believe you are the least prepared. So
didn't get married,
which is fine.
That's true.
Everybody else got married. You didn't.
Tough scenes. Only got engaged. Weak sauce. So because of that, Jake, you are going to draft first. I'm going to draft second. Steve, you're going to draft third. But then in the second round, when we're doing teams 6 through 10, Steve, you will get to draft first, and so on. I will fill out the teams here as we go. If we have the document, you should be able to follow along pretty easily to see who's available. And gentlemen, without any further ado, I think, Jake, any final thoughts before we get started?
We should boo the commissioner. Boo, Jordan, boo. It is a draft.
Yes. If you think my rules are stupid, that's fine. We're making it up as we go. But I'm just excited to have something, get invested in a handful of teams and compete here.
I would like to say, I want to borrow a rule from the other D1 podcast. No more than 5 players named per team. They do 3. Let's do 5. We just don't want to read lineups, but we will. Kind of. Okay, with the first overall pick, there is only one option, and that is the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. If you don't pick them, you're wrong. Not just because I think they're the best team in the country, but because their win total in the ACC, I think, is going to be higher than the other teams that play in the SEC. So I will take them first. Their pitching rotation is the best in the country. Josh Hartle, Chase Burns, Michael Massey. All of those dudes could be number 1s at most programs in America. I'm incredibly excited about the duo of Nick Kurtz and Seaver King on the offensive side of the ball. The best year in program history last year. They could easily win it all. No one would be surprised. That's why they're the number one team in the country. That's my pick.
Easy. I mean, I don't think it's too complicated. Now, okay. So, and again, conference matters. All right. It makes it maybe easier to rack up wins in the ACC versus the SEC. However, I think so. Again, now who am I choosing between? Top 5 here: Wake Forest, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, TCU. So between those 4, are Florida, Arkansas, LSU, TCU. I am going to keep it. I'm just going to go with LSU. I'm actually going to go with LSU. Florida's offense is overwhelming and ridiculous, but I think LSU is even more balanced, and I'm sticking with the Tigers. So I am taking LSU with my second pick, which means Steve, you are choosing between Florida, LSU, and TCU.
See, the problem is it feels like a no-brainer because you look at any of these schools and you're like, well, yeah, duh, you pick them. But I'm going with Florida, and the only reason is because I want extra reason to be happy when Jack Caglione does well. Like, I'm already going to be stoked for him, already going to be happy about it. But they have Cade Curlin, Colby Shelton, and I think Ty Evans is set to have a huge season. He kind of caught fire in the postseason last year, and I think he's going to roll with that. And then on the mound, freshman Liam Peterson.
Yep.
Super exciting. He's going to be touching 100 as a guy who legally can't buy a scratch-off ticket. He might be able to buy scratch-offs, but legally can't drink beers, which is insane.
That is a great pick. And yeah, and TCU, I will say I do like TCU, and I consider it because they do seem to be kind of in their own tier in the Big 12. So maybe that gives them an advantage. But, now they have to face Cincinnati. So let's not.
Ooh.
They didn't have to deal with that last year. So I don't want to say. But okay, so.
Will Taylor Swift show up to TCU Cincinnati with Travis Kelce?
Great question. I'm sure she will. Okay, we move to now. Before each batch, I just want to make sure I read the teams who are available. So 6 through 10. Next, Steve, and you're going to pick first here: Vanderbilt, Oregon State, Texas A&M, Tennessee, or Clemson. Stephen Schoch, you are on the clock.
I know who you're not picking.
Who am I not picking?
No, go ahead.
No, I'm going Oregon State.
Yeah.
This one's simple. Just look at the infield. You got Mason Guerra, you got Travis Bazzani, you got Trent Caraway. Like everywhere you look in the Oregon State lineup, there is an absolute star. They also have a multitude of weird arm slot guys, headlined by AJ Hutchinson, who got them out of a ton of jams last season. So I'm in on the Beavers. I think a Beaver is a sick mascot too.
I think that's the right pick in my opinion from like rooting perspective. Last year in the Pacaronian 12, and they want to go out with a bang. I said this in the last pod. They're playing with a whole potato on their shoulder.
I am going to take Vanderbilt. Now, they might not have quite the star power, certainly on offense, as some of these other teams. But if there's one program I am so confident is not going to suck literally no matter what, and not have any sort of weird stuff, it is absolutely Vanderbilt. So I'm going with the safe pick here, and I'm taking Vandy. Back to you, Jake. You're picking between A&M, Tennessee, and Clemson.
This is a tough pick. Vandy and Oregon State were my two. I'm certainly not taking Texas A&M.
Okay, they're more fun. They're definitely more fun than they used to be.
I understand. Jace Lavalette is. Yeah. That's. I'm going to turn on my television for that. I'm going to take Tennessee, though.
Okay.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Questions on the mound.
Questions on the mound. Answers at the plate, however. Answers at the plate. This group's going to rake. Hoping for a bounce-back year a little bit for Blake Burke, who was so good back in 2022. Not as good last year. Still very good, not as good. But for me, Christian Moore and Cannon Peebles. Peebles transferring in from NC State. Moore is third year. A guy who feels like he's been there forever, right? Christian Moore, Tennessee. It's how is it is only his third year. And then Billy Amick, who they got from Clemson. Maybe that's the deciding factor here.
Are not picking Clemson. Okay.
Love Clemson's program. I think for me, I went with Tennessee just because I didn't want to have two ACC teams at the top. Taking each other's food.
Fair.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got Chase Burns and Chase Burns' old friends. So Very solid pick. We now move
Awkward.
to 11
Definitely.
to 15. And Jake, you're going to pick first here between ECU, Duke, NC State, UVA, and North Carolina. Okay, so are we just going to snipe? Is one of us going to take Virginia? Let's find out. Go ahead, Steve. Or go ahead, Jake.
I'm very tempted to take Virginia and laugh my ass off. This is a hilarious group, too, because it's 4 schools in Carolina and Virginia. It's 4 ACC schools and ECU. The correct pick here is ECU, and that's who I'm going to take. Not just because they're a great program, but they play in the American. And so they will rack up more raw wins than these other teams will. Last year they went 47-19. Jacob Jenkins Coart, hopefully he's similar to Blake Burke, where as a freshman, he's like, holy god damn. Played a little bit below what he's capable of. But the dude on ECU I'm really excited about is Trey Savage, who is one of the best pitchers in the country, potential first-round pick. Big arm, amped to watch him chuck for the Pirates. Steve, if you had the first pick here, would you have taken ECU or Virginia? Because those are two of your...
We've seen this before where you have to pick. Okay, so ECU is the correct pick for the game, but you're obviously picking Virginia. And good news,
Virginia picked me. They picked me,
That's true.
They were the third school to pick you, Steve.
If they're still on the board when I pick. They were the third. It took them some time. I do still have emails from 2013 when I tried to connect with them.
Yeah, we know. We know. Yeah, we know.
I'm okay. Before we talk about, I'm going to take Duke. Am I going to take Duke?
No, you just said it, dude.
Yeah,
you don't get to walk up there like Roger Goodell goes to the podium. He announces the pick. You don't even get to run out there and tackle the guy.
So again,
Babe Ruth actually. A lot of people talk about when he called the home run. No one talks about when he took back the home run, pointed to the left center gap, backside single. That's my moment.
I am gonna go with Duke because I do believe in their pitching. Their offense definitely has some questions, but they have some old transfers that I really like. And so I definitely, again, I'm glad I'm only picking from ACC picks here. This is a pitching over hitting pick, which I guess I already did with Vanderbilt. NC State would have been the pick if I wanted to bop, but I can't take it back. So I'll stick with Duke and let Steve take UVA.
The obvious pick here is going to be Virginia. 1, because I went there and I played baseball there, but 2, because they're out of conference schedule before the season starts. Typically,
dude, so true.
Results in a good amount of wins.
Regular season wins. Damn. Yeah, we didn't check strength of schedule too much.
Damn.
Not for
so we got that going for us. We got that going for us, but Ethan Anderson's going to catch, filling in for Kyle Teal, which I think he'll turn a lot of heads back there. And then Griff O'Farrell at shortstop. I think he's going to hit more home runs this season. He hit 1 home run last year. So I think 2's on the table, maybe 3, 4. Who's to say 5 can't happen? But again, I'll wear people out about Virginia at another date. I won't do it to them yet. Too early in the season.
And just so for the record, I'd probably pick Virginia before NC State or North Carolina, but I'm a nice guy, and I don't want to piss Steve off this early before the season even starts. So
Duke is a good choice, though. Duke's a great choice there. I like Kyle Johnson, one of their freshmen. He's very exciting.
They've done a good job combining recruiting in the portal and in general. All right, and shouts out Brian Sikowski, who is left PG to now be their director of baseball ops. So definitely a program trending in the right direction. All right, let us move to our next little group, 16 through 20. Steve, you are on the clock, picking between Texas, UC Santa Barbara, Coastal Carolina, Alabama, and Iowa. I am
fun group, dude.
A really fun group, and Steve, I'm excited to see who you go with.
I think it's obvious.
I think I know where he's going.
If I took the SAT where Jordan knew the answers before I took it and he was reading me the questions with the answer choices, I would be going to Stanford. I would be the smartest person in the world. I'm picking Coastal Carolina University. He knew the answer before I picked it, but you got Caden Bodine behind the plate. You got Derek Bender somewhere in your lineup. That's a lot of offense. And then on the mound, you got guys like Darren Horn and Riley Eichhoff who can get the job done. And, I'm going to be seeing them a lot. So it makes sense to pick them.
A ton.
And
no.
When I toured their facility, they had a visualization of all the wins and all the losses from their Omaha season in 2016 when they won it all. And when you see a visualization of how many points they put up in that season via our game, how many points they would have had from regular season wins, postseason wins, it's an easy choice.
Yeah, totally fair. I want to say, I'm going to preface this by saying I am very interested in Alabama this year, but I'm taking Iowa. So I am the number one Blake Aaron fan on this broadcast. Of course, the big sophomore first baseman who we got to know pretty well in Round Rock last year. So shouts out to Blake, who will be getting some good playing time. But the pitching staff is amazing. I do like actually a good amount of their position player group as well. So maybe this is disrespectful to the teams, ranked at the top of this group, Texas and UC Santa Barbara. I know they got great pitching, but this to me was a pick between Iowa and Alabama. I'm really excited about Alabama this year. And also I'm taking the team in the Big Ten and not getting another SEC team. So I feel good about that. What about you, Jake?
So I'm going to pick Alabama because I want to root for them. Okay. I want to follow them. They're incredibly interesting. First year coach Rob Vaughn taking over after the funniest scandal ever. I have to say, the information that has come out about that shit is so good, dude.
It's a shame because it is too funny to not act like it's not funny when ultimately it is extremely sad that this is what Brad Bohannon. But it's so funny because
it's so funny.
It's so preposterous. But anyway, continue. But now, hey, dude, go ahead, Steve.
Let me place this bet. This bet is such a guarantee. I'm telling you, it should be illegal for me to place this bet.
It's like I have inside information or something.
This is a can't lose bet.
The thing I keep going back to about this, we shouldn't stick on this too long.
So good.
Weren't there other games you would gamble at $10,000 on LSU winning besides against Alabama, who's like still pretty good, even if their starting pitcher's out. Like, I just don't...
Look at opening weekend.
I guess the odds. That's,
yeah.
Can I put $100,000 on them against Western Michigan? Is that legal? I don't.
Yeah, like no disrespect, but on paper looks pretty good.
So anyway, I'm taking Alabama, like even though. Okay, so here's the doubts with Alabama. Right, the doubts with Alabama are first year head coach in the program. Love Rob Vaughn, but like,
who knows?
Who knows? First year head coach, right? The other is that there are some unknowns on the offensive side of the ball, right? Here's why I'm taking them. One, I think it'll be fun to watch. Two, the rotation, the pitching as a whole is going to be lit. Alton Davis, Ben Hess, Aiden Mosby. Alton Davis is the one that like
he's that dude.
Easy to understand.
Oh yeah.
Easy to understand when you watch it. And then I'm gonna go with the developmental meat on the bone theory, where if this team last year was able to perform at that high of a level with everything that was swirling around their program, some stability and a guy in charge with a good reputation like Rob Vaughn, I think can knock off a couple more wins here, even in the SEC.
Great pick again, and that's the other risk here. It's just the SEC, just getting crowded in the SEC. You could have a good season and a good RPI and just not be racking up the same number of wins. So you have to hope that they do well at a conference. And their offense, it's a lot of unknowns, but it's a lot of exciting transfers, big JC transfers. He brings over Ian Petrutz from Maryland, who I think was one of the most underrated hitters in the country last year. I got to see him up close a few times. TJ McCants, another guy you mentioned who you see a ton at Ole Miss, like Peyton Chaudier. That's one where he comes over and has big time potential. So I like this pick a lot. I like Alabama a lot, and then UC Santa Barbara again. Like that could be a smart pick because of the conference and because of the pitching. And Texas, I just can't get excited there. Like it's probably foolish because they again, there's no way they're going to suck, but I don't know, just not quite there. Okay, Steve. Jake, you're still on the board for our final group of 5, and then we're going to move into the honorable mention. We're going to draft more than just these 5 teams. All right, so we now move to 21 through 25. Jake, you are on the board selecting between Texas Tech, UCLA, Northeastern, Kansas State, and South Carolina. Fascinating mix once again. This is why I'm happy with how this game is going. This is exactly what I could have hoped. But Jake, who are you going? I think I have a guess, but who are you going with here?
Is it just me? Or is it cold in here?
Ooh, okay. You're doing it. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Husky up. Yeah, Northeastern. The Northeastern Huskies, last year they went 44-16 in the
they
CAA.
are racking up the regular season wins for sure.
Absolutely. Now, are they better than the Boston Red Sox who they play every year? No. Are they more interesting? Oh, yeah. Abso-freaking-lutely. Couple things I want to note about that. Mike Sirota is their player to watch, junior center fielder who could do a lot of different things for a ball club. Cam Maldonado, impressive numbers, sophomore outfielder. And then their catcher is named Gregory Bozo. I'm sure it's probably pronounced Bozo. I get that, but I want to go.
Not on this podcast.
And then Avon Cabral is going to be their number one pitcher on the mound. But anytime you get a cold weather team at the back half of the top 25, that is just a club after my soul and after my heart.
And you got to think about it's a good pick too, because postseason wise, cold teams always play better because they finally thaw it out.
Right.
So you got to factor that in.
Like raw chicken.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
But again, we're thinking about the strategy of this game. That is an interesting question, right? Because Northeastern, I mean, you're basically almost guaranteed, 38 plus regular season wins, and then it's, do you get any postseason success? That's where you may be better off betting some other teams. Okay, I'm on the clock here. This is by far my toughest pick.
This is a tough one.
I really like K-State. I'm hoping to see them in Arizona opening weekend as well. Although I'm a little bit concerned about their starting pitching. But I do like their offensive group. I do like the purple. South Carolina is going to hit so many home runs again, but I don't really know what I'm getting on the mound with them either. So UCLA, it's not enough offense for me. Texas Tech, I don't really believe in. All right, I am gonna stick with Kansas.
Wow,
State. This is really hard. I'm going with Kansas State. I don't want to go too heavy in the SEC, and we might still be adding SEC teams late. So I'm taking K-State. I love Kalen Culpepper. Really excited to see him. I was so disappointed when he got hurt in Round Rock last year. They have one of the best, relievers in the country in Tyson Neighbors. So I don't know. This might be a foolish pick, but again, easier conference relatively. So at least that should give me some safety. So K-State.
I like
me. And Steve, you are now picking between Texas Tech, UCLA, and South Carolina. Truly some blue bloods.
A lot of good options on all of them. I'm going South Carolina just because they've returned like 140 home runs into their lineup from various sources. Some of them being in a Gamecock uniform, some of them being in, maybe a Vanderbilt uniform, maybe someone else's uniform. So I think they're going to be really good this season. I mean, I think it's just Ethan Petrie. What he did as a freshman is so unheard of. And I know I say that, and then a couple of other freshmen come to mind who did incredible things last season. But at the same time, we can still refer to it as unheard of. And then Cole Messina behind the plate. There's just a lot of good options. Speaking of good options, Ty Good on the mound is a good option. He's a transfer from the College of Charleston. They did a little thing where Ty Good, the CAA Pitcher of the Year in the final ever CAA season, transfers over to South Carolina. South Carolina is third baseman Kevin Madden, transfers to College of Charleston. Is it a trade? I don't know officially, but it looks like one on paper, and that excites me. That makes me happy. But everybody's happy from it. I believe in South Carolina. I think they can do a lot of good this season.
Great. So I'm just going to note here, we, over these last two groups, we have ignored the two teams at the top, ignoring Texas and Texas Tech, as well as California, UC Santa Barbara and UCLA. So I don't know what that says about us. I'm sorry if we're offending the entire states of California and Texas. Make us look stupid. I mean, again, ultimately, these are the teams we're picking with. Maybe we'll make up for it in the second half of this draft. Steve, I just want to make sure if we need to read a sponsorship that you make sure you do that again before we do the second half of this draft. You want to go ahead and do that for us?
That's a good point. I did mention that a lot of people will be hitting home runs. You know what makes it easier to hit even more home runs?
Wait.
Geez. Who do I pick? Jake.
Well, the reason that you've picked me, Steve, is that the color of the shirt I'm wearing is an army green because I am indeed a soldier who needs a baseball bat.
You're a soldier who needs a baseball bat. Well, all the soldiers going to war, if they want to be safe, they're doing it with the 2025 Soldier Tank BB Core baseball bat by Soldier Sports. This isn't just any bat. It's lighter and it's hotter than any of its predecessors. So it's kind of like, you take this into combat kind of like a lightsaber. You think about that heat. You think about that action. This is thanks to its infused power alloy technology that creates an ultra big, ultra hot sweet spot, crafted from over 2.5 years of research and development. That's more research and development that went into making Steve. The Soldier Tank is the perfect blend of speed and power, designed for both power and contact hitters. It features a formula for success. Now, I'm dyslexic and I can understand this formula. It's speed times mass times impact equals extreme power. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Didn't even need PEMDAS for that one. I've seen it swung. Even the missed hits are hit with juice with the Soldier Tank. This bat is priced at an incredible $311, which is well worth it to swing the hottest bat in the BB Core era. Go to soldiersports.com or soldiersports.us, not .com. I don't know where that will take you. Go to soldiersports.us and get you one today.
Steve, this bat is just like you compared to where you were a couple years ago. Lighter and hotter.
Lighter, hotter, and full of beans. It's not full of beans.
The bat is full of beans. Oh man, he really jammed him, and it looks like there's beans.
Is that cannellini?
His career's tarnished as he has been sawed off, and pinto beans are everywhere. Sammy Sosa, forever disgraced.
His bat was beaned up.
Everybody knows the second B in BB Core is beans. Right? Baseball beans operated core.
I'm calling it bean.
Round.
From now on, I'm calling it bean core.
There's beans, Battlestar, Soldier Sports Tank bats. Okay, gentlemen, we move on to our second part of our draft here.
Just because you're not ranked doesn't mean you don't matter.
We still love you.
We'll do full recap at the end here. Now, this next section. No, we've so far we've each picked 5 teams. We're going to pick 5 more here. Okay, and we're going to do it pretty quickly. First, we are going to each select 3 from the teams that just missed. Okay, now D1 Baseball published it. Everyone's like, "Oh, where's what the hell? Why didn't you rank?" Ole Miss fans, what the heck? Oh my God! Oklahoma State, how dare you? Don't you know the holidays are hanging out at our stadium? That means we're a top 25 team. Anyway, point is, they gave us 15 teams that were close to making the top 25. And so now we're going to continue our draft and select from these teams: Stanford, Auburn, Oklahoma State, UC Irvine, Miami, Southern Miss, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Louisville, Oregon, Indiana, USC, Southern California, Florida State, Troy, and UNC Wilmington. Stephen Schoch, back to you. You are up on the clock to take another team. Go ahead.
Going off one that I won't be able to keep my eye on during the midweek. And this probably isn't a great pick because midweek schedule-wise, they do schedule very tough. I'm going with the UNC Wilmington Seahawks. They're returning 7 of 9 starting players from the team that won the last ever Colonial Athletic Association championship and regular season. Therefore, I am expecting big things as they're transitioning to the Coastal Athletic Association. There's a lot of reasons to be excited. Tam Thatch is a great guy to get excited about. Brock Wills, Jack Kroom, their third baseman, is an elite hitter. He loves going. I genuinely believe that kid went to UNC Wilmington with the understanding that it's one of the few schools he can go out and boogie board after practice at, and I respect him for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great pick. Okay, I'm up here again. This is very tough because now we have 15 teams to choose from instead of 5. I love a lot of these schools. I am going to go with Indiana. Now, this is a total homer pick because I live in Indiana, and I really like this team. I really like some of the transfers they brought in. I like some of their young talent. Nick Mitchell, Western Illinois transfer. I think he's going to be awesome. I just think their offense is going to be fantastic. Brock Tibbetts, Devin Taylor, Carter Matheson, I think is going to be a high draft pick. Mound is a little bit more of a question mark, but you know what? I'll take Big Ten country here. And then I'll branch out. So I wanted to make sure I got Indiana, and then I'll kind of let the rest of the board decide where I go from here. So, wow, I'm amazed that was going to be your first pick, Jake, but I'm happy to have stolen it from you. So who you got? Jake, you have 2 picks now.
All right. I'm going to take Louisville.
Okay, interesting.
I don't think they're going to be bad 2 years in a row.
Okay.
I know that is maybe oversimplifying things, but I don't think Dan McDonald and his farm will be unproductive for the second consecutive season. Last year, they only went 31-24, 10-20 in the ACC. They do return a decent amount. They're picking up a big transfer from Wright State, Sebastian Gongora, who I'm excited about on the mound. But I'm just betting on the program here.
Yep,
That's
totally fair. 2 quick Louisville notes, and then I want to get your second pick. Eddie King Jr., huge breakout year. I think he's being underrated. Big on him. And then Luke Napleton. I have to mention this. Kendall Rogers, one of our dear leaders. He keeps referring to Luke Napleton as a D3 transfer. He is
not D3.
He is a D2 transfer. His numbers in D2 last year were truly insane at Quincy. 29 home runs, which is ridiculous in a college baseball season, of course. D2, not D3, but I'm excited to see what he does. Especially Luke Napleton talk about a country music star or college baseball player. I'm buying Luke Napleton's. He's performing at the CMAs after he finishes the season at Louisville. Okay, Jake, what's your next pick here?
So I think I'm going to stick. I'm between 2 Paccaroni teams.
Okay.
Whoa, you're crazy.
I know. And they're on very different trajectories. I'm picking between Stanford and USC. Mm-hmm. Stanford, who has made 3 consecutive World Series, but lost a ton of talent over the winter from graduation, and their pitching is a big question mark, versus USC, which is really on the upswing under Andy Stankiewicz. I'm going to take USC.
Okay. I think they'll be more fun to root for. I think we're all definitely sleeping on Stanford. It feels disrespectful, but I love that pick. And honestly, I am going to. That's a great pick. I might be seeing them in Arizona also. So they have some really exciting.
Are you seeing like every freaking team?
Dude, there's like 15 teams there. So I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I'm going to try to. So we'll see. That's a great pick. Now I'm going to go back out to California because I do feel bad skipping over the teams earlier. But Stanford's too easy to pick. I'm going UC Irvine here. I wanted to get some mid-major. Steve's pissed. I think I'm taking the Anteaters. I do think I'll definitely bank some regular season wins here at the very least. And they have great pitching, of course. So yeah, I'll go UC Irvine and send it back to Steve for 2 picks.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal pick. I mean, Coach Rooney likes UC Irvine a lot, and he doesn't just like teams for fun. That's a lie. He does like some teams for fun.
Yeah, but they got Joe Yama. They've got Ken Kendall's back. They've got some good
Woody Hedin, which is the most fun name to say in college baseball.
Year. And then Anthony Martinez is someone who, great example, unbelievable freshman year. Barely knew about that until I was like prepping for this season, and now he's a really huge offensive force there for them. So, give me the Eaters. I'm very excited about that. But now, Steve, you have 2 picks.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. We're going first pick. I'm going with Florida State. I think Cam Leiter is a phenomenal transfer to have. I think he's going to be huge on the mound. James Tibbs is going to hit 1 million home runs, and his friend Cam Smith is probably going to join him. So I'm expecting a big turnaround in Florida State's program. Last season, of course, was uncharacteristic of them. Don't worry about it. It happened. It's the past. We're focused on the future. Next up, I am going with Troy because Troy.
Damn it! We both.
It's too good a pick to leave.
Trojans. Oh, damn it! Okay.
Look, dude.
What about Gabriella?
TSA, yeah. What do you think?
You bring the horse, and that's going to win a lot of baseball games. I like the trickery. I blew my first save ever at Troy, so I know they're a resilient ball club. But yeah, we're rolling with them. Hit 2 guys, walk the next.
It sounds like some of Jake's early outings too. So this is why you guys get along.
What was I doing?
Troy's super exciting. Again, like you're probably racking up a ton of regular season wins. So I absolutely was strongly considering it. Okay. I am now up here for my last pick in this bunch. Again, currently picking between Stanford, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Miami, Southern Miss, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Oregon. All right. I'm between Stanford and Southern Miss. And I think I am just going to take Stanford.
Give it to me. You're in Arkansas.
Stanford.
Get out of here.
New Mexico. I am going to take Stanford. Maybe a boring pick. I want to stay out of the SEC. I don't really know what I'm getting from Oklahoma State. Oregon, kind of fun. I don't know what I'm getting from the pitching there. And I don't know. It's just like Stanford. Like, come on. Like, I'm excited to. I love Malcolm Moore. I'm excited to learn more about Stanford this year. We really do not know a lot about them, and I think that's kind of fun. So I'm going to go with Stanford here. But Southern Miss is certainly would be attractive. So that's my last pick in this group. Jake, round out this group, and then we'll squeeze in a couple more before we say goodbye.
Do I have to pick from this group?
Yes, but you're also going to be picking first in the next chunk. So,
all right, I will take Oklahoma State.
Okay,
I will take Oklahoma State simply because they're fun to watch. They always make a regional. It feels like they never get out of the regional. The regional's like 1,000 runs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the hype is kind of off them a little bit. It feels
I agree with that. Yep.
And so I'll take Oklahoma State.
Okay, that's a totally fair pick. So we are not the rest of these teams. We're going to take off the board, and now we are going to wrap up with two more teams, gentlemen. Okay. We are going to do Jake. You are going to pick first. Now it's total wild card. If you want to take Alabama State, go for it. If you want to take, I've listed a bunch of teams here that are options. I'm not going to read all of them, but I am just going to leave it up to you. We're picking two more teams to bring our total to 10 before we end this podcast. Jake, you have the first pick. Again, this is anybody. So if you want to just take a team in a small conference that's going to rack up some wins like Central Connecticut State, go for it. If you want to pick another Power 5 team, that is on the board. Someone you're excited to root for, someone you're excited to watch. Jake, who are you selecting with your first pick here? Again, we're picking two more, so go ahead. You're up first.
I'm going to take UConn.
Okay, all right, another northern team. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Huskies. 44 wins last year with mid pitching. Like they had a 4.89 and they won 44 games. Now part of that has to do with conference. They're always good. And I want to root for them because they are the kings of the Division III transfer.
Totally. Great call.
And so like it comes with built-in knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm going to be seeing them down in Florida during spring training, I believe against USF in Louisville. So I'm excited to get eyes on them early. And it's not the best conference. So.
Yeah. And to that note, I'm just going to snipe you and take Oral Roberts, or at least maybe not snipe you, but steal your name, Jake, coming into this podcast as Oral Brian Roberts. Oral Roberts in the Summit League is about as big of a lock as you can get. We're coming off. I'm not expecting them to go to Omaha again, but I still think that they have enough old talent. They got guys like Holden Breeze. Come on, he's still on the team. That's freaking awesome. So I like them. They got a really interesting transfer for them is Kyle Booker, who was with Tennessee. I'm excited to see what he can do for them this year. So this is very much a regular season pick, with all due respect to Oral Roberts, repeating their Omaha magic. But that's too many wins to pass up. So I'm going to take them there. Then I'll round it out with one more Power 5. So Steve, you are on the clock for your two wild card picks.
In that spirit, I am taking Indiana State.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they will compile about 100 wins this season. But also one of their pitchers, I'm not familiar with a ton of people in the lineup. I don't meet many people there.
They have a lot. It's a lot of the same guys. They're bringing a bunch back. So.
Yeah, no. I'm speaking like I don't know anyone except one kid named Aiden Deacons, who pitched against the Cape Henlopen Vikings in the Delaware High School State Championship, and he did really well. So I'm excited to watch him play at the college level. He's transferring in from Walters State, so I expect him to have some success there. I think that'll collect a lot of wins for us. And then I am also going to go with another team that's going to get a lot of wins because why wouldn't I? That wouldn't be good for the purpose of this game. And go with Texas State.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Texas State, I feel like they're always a team that every year there's conversations around like, okay, is this team as good as everybody thinks they are right now? And a lot of the time the answer ends up being yes. So why wouldn't I take them? Chase Mora, he came to college baseball only to hit home runs. He did just that last year. I expect him to do a lot of that in 2024. I'm excited for Texas State.
Those are all right. So we go Indiana State and Texas State. Very interesting way to round out your group. All right. So for my last pick, man, I mean, again, I could go smaller conference dominance. Kent State is there. I mean, again, like Alabama State in the SWAC. Central Connecticut, Fairfield. Remember, Fairfield was like 40-0 or whatever. That would be another one. But I'm going to keep it simple and just go homer here and stick with Maryland. I don't think they're going to take as big of a step back as with Rob Vaughn leaving as people maybe expect. I love that Omar Melendez shout out, Jake, that you had on the podcast recently. So, and I love rooting for the Terps. So again, there's so many to choose from here. And now I got 3 Big Ten teams, which is maybe a horrible decision, but maybe a great decision. We'll see. So again, so many to choose from here, but I'm just going to round it out with the Terps. So Jake, you are finishing out the draft, and then we will recap.
You guys feel that?
Oh no.
Do you guys feel that?
Oh,
do you
baby,
feel that?
Good call. Smart and good at baseball.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God. Guys, I think it's a earthquake. Quake show, baby. Penn. Give me Penn.
My God.
The Quakers went to the
go ahead. Wow.
Went to the regional final last year, 34-16. They got big brains, but most importantly, they are bringing back all 3 weekend starters and the top 4 hitters in their lineup.
Damn. Okay, that's good. I haven't seen. Do we have an Ivy League preseason poll, a coaches poll? I don't know. I'm curious. So I don't know where they rank on that, but that sounds pretty good to me. That's a great pick. Damn. All right. Well, nice work there, Jake. All right. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and recap and say goodbye here. Yeah. My teams are LSU, Vanderbilt, Duke, Iowa, Kansas State, Indiana, UC Irvine, Stanford, Oral Roberts, and a University of Maryland. Those are my 10. Steven, Schoch, would you like me to read your teams or can you read them?
Steve can read.
I can read. I'm just going to scroll as I go. I've got Florida. Then we have Oregon State, the Beavers. Then we have Virginia. So we got the Cavaliers, the Beavers, and the Alligators all hanging out together. Well, of course, we need a Teal Rooster, add a Chanticleer to the mix because we're going with Coastal Carolina. I just clicked, which took me to the wrong spot, but You're
back. Good. South Carolina. You guys Gamecocks.
South Carolina, Chanticleer.
Yep.
Get a Garnet Rooster. Is that a thing?
Sure. Yep.
And then we got a lot of birds. A lot of birds for UNCW is who we're adding next. Then after that, we have Florida State and then Troy, the Trojans. So we're adding a horse to the mix. I believe it to be wooden. I don't think it's a real actual horse. Then you have all the birds. Where do they live? The trees. We got Indiana State. And what do birds love to watch? Birds love to play with cats. Bobcats, particularly. Texas State rounding it out.
I think bobcats like to eat birds.
But if they're up in the sycamore trees, then we're fine.
Sounds like birds are pretty essential to the bobcat equation.
Jake, who do you got?
Wake Forest Demon Deacons. That's a person. Tennessee Volunteers. That's something you do in your free time. That's good for the community. East Carolina Pirates. That's
Volunteers and Pirates and Deacons. Wow, what a
what
a trio there. Okay,
what a crew.
I know. ECU. And I got the Alabama Crimson Tide, which is, I guess, like a concept, like an idea.
In theory, allegedly.
There's no such thing as a Crimson Tide. The Northeastern Huskies are mine, as are the Louisville Cardinals, the Southern California Trojans, not a real horse. You're right, Steve. The Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Yukon Huskies, so Husky up, and then, of course,
The Quake Show.
The Quake Show. Penn Quakers.
This was fun. Again, we'll make a fancy graphic and show us our teams. And we'll be tracking this all year long, at the very least in the regular, and we'll see how bad the scoring system is. At the very least, at the end of the regular season, we'll have a good sense of how good we did in the draft. But we'll see how the postseason shakes out. Stephen Schoch, you are a delight. Thank you, Mr. Oral, Brian Roberts, Jake Mintz. Thank you guys for going along with my silly game. Steve, close us out. This is going to be our last season preview episode, but we'll be back next week on Monday to recap the first weekend of action. Steve, final thoughts before we say goodbye.
The Quake Show that Jake experienced was actually not the Penn Quakers. That was me in Southport, North Carolina, bouncing off the walls with pure excitement that college baseball is right around the corner. It's happening, people. Tell your kids, tell your families, hug them, grab them close. Tell your dogs you love them, because college baseball is happening. It's time to black out for the next 5 to 6-ish months. Wow. And just talk only about college baseball.
That's way
It's going to
too
be
long.
so much
That's
fun.
6 months. Blackout all the way into August for some reason.
Look,
Steve
go
loves
hard.
the cape.
I forgot we're recording this, a little bit in advance. Not nearly enough in advance for me to be correct, but a little bit in advance for me. Time is all made up. And the earth is very flat. We will talk to you next week.
All right. Bye. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for
Bye.